everyone.
Hello and welcome back to Christine's Kitchen. Now we are going to talk about decorating sugar cookies and what we need to do. So if you haven't watched the preparing for decorating your sugar cookies and you don't know how to do bags and things like that, watch that video first so you can get all prepared and ready to go. So we're going to start with doing the snowflake sugar cookie. There's a lot of pictures out there on my website with these sugar cookies. This is the sample here. We're going to start with, because there's so many crevices and indentations in this, if I was just to glaze it, the glaze would fall into those cracks. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the royal frosting, which is like the glue, to outline the spaces that we would like. Now here's the sample, or one of the samples. Don't get too close on it. It's gotten a little bit old since Christmas, but you can see the white lines is the royal frosting. So I'm going to go ahead and start with outlining my areas that I want to keep that frosting out of the crevices. You will notice that when I have too much pressure on the bag, it just starts to seep out. So I'm going to loosen it up a bit, wipe off my tip so I have a nice clean tip. You want to have a wet paper towel close by so that you can wipe as you go. And I'm going to start with a little circle. Well, that wasn't a very good circle, but it doesn't matter. I'm on a turntable so that it's easy to manipulate. If you mess up, it's easy to come back with a wet paper towel and just wipe it off and try again. So it's okay. We're not perfect, and it's okay if it doesn't look perfect. This is homemade, and homemade always has a little bit of mistakes to it. So we're gonna make a little drop there. We're gonna make another drop here. If you get air bubbles in, sometimes it pops and you gotta wipe it off, and that's all okay. So I'm gonna go around each little circle, okay? Now, oh, I didn't wipe off my tip and it was coming out. So I've got a little tail, so I'm gonna go ahead and start over. Okay, this is like a piece of artwork. So again, wipe off my tip. Okay, now I'm not gonna decorate the whole cookie here with you, so I'm just gonna focus on this little section, okay? I'm going to take in and do a little line, a little triangle around this indentation. Maybe come up and do a little triangle here, little triangle here. You'll see when I get to the ends, I take a little, I kind of dip in with my tip. I'm going to make this come up to here and around like a leaf, like this. So I kind of dip in when I go. You can see it doesn't match, and that's okay. And every snowflake is different in real life, so for it to be different here too is just great. Now if I was going to do that, I would do the same thing on this side, taking this triangle out. Oops, there it goes. A toothpick is really great in sections that you need to clear off a dot and not the whole end. And I'm going to take it from here and go back. Okay. And then up to my triangles. You can see how I dot down in order to get it. And then let's see, how did I do that other one? I'm going to come up to the front. I'm a little unsteady with you watching me, more so than I would normally be. Okay, that one's a little bit more in position, and that's great. So I would do that on every single thing. Now, one thing with mass production is if you're doing the same function over and over, then you're more accurate to do that same function one after the other. So I would do each section just like I did, moving around the whole snowflake. I'm going to go ahead and do this little section right here so then I can show you what the next step is. Like I said, we're not going to do the whole cookie because it takes too much time. So I'm coming in here Now remember, if I was to glaze, I'm going to be glazing in between each one of these. And if I was to glaze in between here and not have this blocked out, all the glaze would run down to that hole. So I've got to block that out. I'm going to make a little diamond here. It's a little bit narrow. And then up to the top. Okay, and so I would do that on every single side. Now when I get to the middle, I might do something different, like I might do a big circle, and then it would have maybe a circle around it like this, okay? So that's what we would do to put the royal icing all the way around. Then we want to decorate with our pearls or beads, or these are all edible sprinkles. These look like little BBs, but you can decorate on the royal icing while it's still wet. You want to do it now because if you have to do it later, you'll have to put a dab of royal and then the bead on. I like to use tweezers in order to put it on very accurately. You can put them on now or you can do them after the glazing, but it just depends. If I like to do it now or then. So I'm going to put a big one in the middle there. I'm going to put a big one on this glob here. And then maybe a smaller one at this center point. And then maybe a small one on each one of these ends. Okay. You can see that my royal icing is already starting to dry, because when I tap it into place, some of it it's cracking a little bit. Okay, so now I have some nice beads on each one of them. I think I'm going to put one right there as well. Okay, so you're going to put that on all the areas that you would like. Now it's not the end-all decision right now. You can add more later. It's just that you're going to have to add more royal frosting. And your royal frosting only lasts about 2 days in your bag without any air. And it still does start to separate. Those egg whites start to separate. So it's kind of important for you to put on as much as you want right now. You can look at the designs that I've done and you can see that for me, I like to do either all white or white and silver or with a little bit of blue accents. So you can kind of play with it and do whatever you want. You can get some blue beads and just have a lot of fun with it. Now the next step after we have the royal all over the whole cookie is to fill in with the glaze. Now with this cookie, I used plain glaze, okay? This is plain sugar, powdered sugar and water, or milk. Actually, this is milk. So I'm gonna fill in here with the white glaze, or the plain glaze. This is transparent. When it dries, you're going to see the cookie in the middle. And you can use the what's this called? Toothpick to move it around. But I just squirt some in that space and then I fill in all the little holes, okay? And I can even move some of that thickness from the royal icing around. When that dries, it's going to look like this cookie, this sample cookie over here, that is very transparent. So you can see the cookie through it. Now, this glaze has the white frosting in it. I prefer this because I really don't like how that one turned out. That's why I didn't give that one away. Because I would rather it be white, like a snowflake is white. So I'm going to fill this in, all inside of this royal icing. Royal frosting. The icing is going inside of the royal. Now if you get too much, it's going to run over the edge, just like it's fixing to over here. But with you don't need a whole lot. And again, it's on a curve, but with a what's that called again? Toothpick. You can manipulate it. So I'm going to put one dot in this small little triangle here. And then I'm going to use my toothpick to fill it in. Yes, it's tedious, but that's what makes them beautiful. And we're going to fill that in there. You can see how thin and milky this is. Okay. Maybe a little bit more. The bigger circle at the top needs 2 drops. Okay, so I would fill that all the way in, and you can see the difference even before it's dried, the white versus the translucent. This has white food coloring, this does not. So kind of fun. Then the next thing you can do, once this is totally dried and your glaze is dried, you can come back and you can decorate with more beads if you want. Again, you're going to need to put a little dab of the royal icing wherever you want to put beads. If you want to put sprinkles down in these glazed areas, I did that a lot too on some of them, and it was really fun. So you would want to, let's say we only wanted sprinkles in these sections. So you would glaze each one of these sections, then throw your sprinkles in there and let it dry, dump it out to get all the excess off, and then come back and glaze these sections without sprinkles. Then you'll have sprinkle, none, sprinkle, none, sprinkle, none. So because it's too hard to keep the sprinkles in one section. So you can leave it like that and do it in stages. But again, every layer that you put on these snowflakes, it's going to have to take like a day or about 12 hours to dry in between, so you can make sure that the glaze and everything is hard enough to put on the next layer of frosting or decorations. The thing that I like to finish out, and I did this on these last year's Christmas cookies, was I like to do a glitter. So this is edible glitter. Kind of crazy, but they have all kinds of fun stuff. So this is edible glitter, and if you take just a little bit of water and a clean paintbrush, don't use it for paint, but you put a little bit of water on your paintbrush. Once the cookie is totally dry, you can dunk it into your glitter, and then let's say we want these V sections here painted in glitter. You can see that the glitter, you just put a little bit on there and then you just wipe it on, and it makes it, the sections all glittery. Isn't that awesome? So this is a lot of fun to just doll it up. Another thing is these little dots here, I colored the royal icing and put in little dots, and I think that makes it really fun as well. It's not all beads, you're putting in some decoration with your coloring of frosting. So that's how you make the snowflake sugar cookies. Let's talk really quick about doing just regular glaze on a flat cookie. So here I have a Christmas tree, and I have left my glaze. It's starting to harden because I didn't put a wet paper towel over the top of it. But this is just the glaze, okay? This one, you're not gonna have it on you're gonna have to put it on your hand and use your hand. So I'm gonna take a little bit and I'm gonna put it on, and then with this spoon, it has it's a grapefruit spoon, and so it has a sharp tip up front. I can manipulate it pretty easily. So I'm gonna go up here to the tip. You're always gonna stay away from the edge of the cookie at about 1/8 of an inch. It makes it look a lot prettier. So I'm gonna bring that green in 1/8 of an inch away. I'm just gonna pour it on in the middle, and then I'm gonna manipulate it with the tip of my spoon, okay? So this is super easy, and I'm gonna bring it out to a line even, and that's why I can pull it and turn it and make this kind of go all over the cookie without, in my hand I can do that. If I was on a plate, I wouldn't be able to manipulate it as well. I'm gonna come out to this corner, and it's kind of a balancing act. I kind of dripped when I brought in my thing. Okay, I don't have brown, so I'm just gonna come down to here. And I'm just gonna go in and out. Now, it will tend to go out to the edges, just like it just did there. And again, we can clean that up with a paper towel in just a moment. One thing with doing your glaze this way is you don't get as much sugar on the cookie. And in some cases, that's a good thing if you're gonna eat a lot of cookies. but in other cases, you might want more sugar on that cookie, okay? So you can see how I'm just kind of painting it this way. If you wanted to use a brush, you can use a brush. For me, I think the spoon works great because I can scoop and put it on here a lot easier. Okay, and see how great that is? And then I'm gonna take my little paper towel and clean up this corner. And just lift it up like that, and there you go. That's ready to go. And we can let that dry on a flat surface. This plate is a little bit crooked, but that's how we can do that one. Then the third way of our third kind of frosting, so we have the glaze and we have the royal. And we're gonna use the buttercream on this Texas, okay? So this is buttercream frosting, your typical frosting that you'd use for cupcakes, cake, anything like that. And this one, you're gonna roll this in rather than like we did on the silicone bag. I'm using this hand as balance. I'm gonna square off. I can use my turntable. And then I'm gonna make this one like the Texas flag. So actually, if I'm gonna do that, the Texas flag has a star on this side, so I'm gonna remove this line. You can see how easy that is. So I would come in with white and red and blue. So I'm just gonna do the white part for now. But you can see with this large tip, you can make any kind of lines that you want. And finish it off like that. So this is easy, you can do anything. If I was gonna do stripes, I mean there's no stripes in the Texas flag, but you can do this. Fill it in with red, fill it in with star tip, fill it in with whatever you want. But this is really easy, really yummy frosting. You could put a lot of frosting on there. If I wanted to put some big dots, that'll add a lot of frosting, a lot of flavor. You know, you can just do all kinds of things. If it pops up like that, you can take your tip or your Q-tip and get rid of your caps if your circle is going down in, or you can push it down. Anyways, a lot of fun things you can do on any sugar cookie, just to make faces or snowmen or anything like that with your regular buttercream frosting and different colors. So I hope that was good instructions on the snowflakes and glazed cookies and just regular buttercream frosted cookies. So enjoy, and for more information and all the recipes for cookies and all these frostings, go out to christineskitchen.info and you can find that on my website. Thanks so much. Have a good night.